Consequently, it most certainly violates the divine conditions for inheritance of the Holy Land. The Prophet and the collapse of paper money. It is also a matter of absolutely critical importance that Muslims should carefully study the prophecy of the Prophet, alayhi al-salam, in which he has prophesied the collapse of artificial secular currency, i.e., paper, plastic, and electronic money, etc. Abu Bakr ibn Abi Maryam reported that he heard the Messenger of Allah say, "A time is certainly coming over mankind in which there will be nothing left, which will be of use or benefit save a dinar and a dirham gold and silver coins." Musnad Ahmad. That prophecy of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is about to be fulfilled. Today's monetary system uses paper to make money. That is a manifest fraud. Artificial money is quite different from real money. Real money has intrinsic value, while paper money has none. Its only value is that conferred upon it by market forces. Its market value will last only for as long as, and to the extent that, there is public confidence in it and demand for it in the market. Demand is itself based on confidence, and confidence is something that can be manipulated, as Malaysia's Prime Minister has now recognized, and as Indonesia has recognized too late. So long as governments controlled the so-called free currency markets, they could intervene to protect public confidence. But the currency market is now controlled by the most vicious of all speculative forces, forces fueled by compelling greed with no loyalties. Anything that seriously disturbs market confidence will cause the speculative stampede that will fulfill the prophecy of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The collapse of money, in what may best be described as a money meltdown, will witness the final success of the European who became Jews in their more than 1,000 years of struggle for Jewish rule over the whole world. Those who have real money will survive the meltdown, while those speculators who successfully exploit the collapse will make the greatest profits ever. The masses will lose their wealth and be enslaved. They will be caught with worthless paper parading as money. That is the financial holocaust that is certain to occur. Others as well, beside our blessed Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are now predicting that financial meltdown. Judy Shelton, for example, uses it as the very title of her excellent book entitled Money Meltdown: Restoring Order to the Global Currency System. New York, The Free Press, 1994. We should not forget, not allow the world to forget, the dramatic, ominous, and unprecedented collapse of the US dollar in January 1980, when the value of the dollar relative to gold fell to approximately $850 for 1 ounce. In 1971, it was $35 an ounce. Its present managed value is kept within the range of $280–380 per once. This collapse off dollar took place in the immediate wake of the successful anti-Western Islamic Revolution in Iran that gave control of the vast oil resources of Iran to an anti-systemic Islamic government. A similar collapse occurred in 1973, just after the Arab-Israeli War and the imposition of an Arab oil embargo on USA. The US dollar fell in value by a massive 400%, from $40 for an ounce of gold to $160. In fact, the collapse of the international monetary system would occur when the Jews consider it opportune to bring down the US dollar. They can do that at any time, since the US dollar made of paper is manifestly fraudulent, since it is essentially worthless. When the US dollar collapses, it will bring down all other paper currencies in the world. The major beneficiary of that collapse will be the State of Israel, since it is those who control banks who would now control money. Governments will no longer be able to issue money. Rather, it is banks controlled by Jews that would now issue plastic electronic money. That money meltdown will perhaps take place when Israel launches its major war against the Arabs, and then successfully defies the entire world. That successful display of military and political power, together with the new financial control that comes with the collapse of paper money, would deliver to Israel the status of being the ruling state in the world. This writer believes that that event is likely to take place within the next 5 to 10 years, or even earlier. Already, Israel has successfully defied the President of USA, who demanded on several occasions that Israel withdraw her military forces from Palestinian towns she occupied. After a wave of Palestinian human bombs took a heavy toll of Jewish lives. What is the reality of the attack of Reba? The very forces that emerged in contemporary history and made the restoration of the State of Israel possible are themselves the forces that have penetrated all of mankind with Reba. The Quran identifies those forces as the people of Ya'juj Gog and Ma'juj Magog, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke at length of Dajjal, the false Messiah. He declared that the age of Dajjal would be the age of the universal prevalence of Reba. The outstanding Islamic scholar and sage, Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, startled the Muslim world when he declared, as far back as 1917, that the release of Gog and Magog, referred to in the Quran, had taken place. It is, therefore, crystal clear that the penetration of the Ummah by the forces of Reba represents an attack by evil beings created by Allah Himself. The aim of the attackers is to subject all, including Muslims, to the greatest trial mankind would ever experience, from the time of Adam alayhi al-salam until the last day. The aim of the attackers is to utterly deceive the Jews and lead them to their final destruction. At the centerpiece of that attack is the trial of Reba. We are now living through that trial. The evidence so far is that a spiritually blind world of Jews is failing miserably in its response to that trial. The Muslim world seems just as blind. Allah Most High, wages war against Israel. Allah, the Supreme, spoke with such forceful language concerning the sin of Reba, that it is, perhaps, the greatest sin other than shirk that exists in the realm of belief or conduct. Allah's anger against the oppressor because of the oppression of Reba is so great that they will stand before Him, after their resurrection, as a people who appear to be driven to madness by the touch of Satan. When the Jewish state of Israel engages in Reba, then Allah will not simply punish such people in the next life. Either He and His Messenger alaihi al-salam will wage war against them in this world. O ye who believe, fear Allah, and give up what remains of your demand for usury if ye are indeed believers. If ye do it not, take notice of war from Allah and His Messenger. Quran, Al-Baqarah, 2:2789. This book directs attention to the fact that Jews control the banking system around the world today. Yet the above verse of the Quran is indicative of the supreme importance Allah Most High attaches to the prohibition of Reba. In the entire history of divine revelation, to the best of my knowledge, Almighty Allah has never used such extremely strong language for anything else besides Reba. After the death of Solomon alaihi al-salam, the Israelites corrupted the Torah by rewriting it several times in several different versions. The Harvard-trained American biblical scholar Richard Friedman has conclusively demonstrated this in his very important work entitled, Who Wrote the Bible? New York, Harper and Row, 1989. The Israelites removed all references in the Torah to the temple or masjid built by Abraham alaihi al-salam and Ishmael alaihi al-salam in Arabia. The Kaaba and the Hajj are no longer to be found in the Torah. They also substituted all references to Ishmael alaihi al-salam as the son of the sacrifice with the name of his brother Isaac alaihi al-salam, even though Isaac alaihi al-salam was not even born when the trial of the sacrifice took place. In addition, the child of the sacrifice was described by Allah in the Quran as Halim Patient and forbearing Safat, 37-101. Whereas the son to be born to Sarah was described as Alim-wise, Al-Hijr, 15:53. They substituted Arabia with Palestine as the place of the sacrifice. Zam-Zam, the miraculous spring of water that sprang from the desert sand, when Gabriel alaihi al-salam rubbed his heel on the sand, now became a well in Palestine. They demonized Ishmael alaihi al-salam in the Torah as a wild ass of a man, and excluded him from Allah's covenant, so that they could claim exclusive title to being the chosen people of Allah. Most dangerous of all, however, was their corruption and willful distortion of the divine prohibition against Reba. They rewrote the Torah to make it permissible for money to be lent on interest to non-believers, while maintaining the prohibition against riba in intra-Israelite transactions. Deuteronomy 23, 20-21. Allah, the Almighty, responded to this heinous crime by sending against them one of his creatures who possessed mighty prowess. The Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar, overran Palestine, defeated the Israelites, enslaved all those whom he captured, destroyed the state of Israel and Masjid al-Aqsa, which had been built by Solomon, and transported the Israelites as slaves back to Babylon. Al-Isra 17-45. This was most certainly a powerful demonstration of Allah's capacity to wage war. There was a second demonstration when the Roman Emperor, Titus, ravaged Jerusalem and destroyed the temple or masjid a second time. Al-Isra 17-7, 104. This also was related to riba. Allah had sent 3 prophets, Zachariah alayhi al-salam, John alayhi al-salam, and Jesus alayhi al-salam, to the Israelites. That part of the Israelites who rejected these prophets became known as Jews, al-Yahud. The Jews murdered Zachariah alayhi al-salam inside of Masjid al-Aqsa. Matthew 24-35, 36. Luke 11:51. John alayhi al-salam was beheaded by way of deception. And finally, the Jews boasted of how they had killed Jesus alayhi al-salam. In all 3 instances, the prophets of Allah had attacked them and denounced them for their wickedness. This included their denunciation of the Jews for the crime of changing the Torah and for consuming riba. Jesus alayhi al-salam, for example, went into Masjid al-Aqsa and found them engaged in riba. He cursed them, turned over their tables, chased them out of the temple masjid, and declared, "You have taken the house of Allah and transformed it into a den of thieves." Thus, it was because the prophets of Allah exposed their wickedness of consuming riba, among other crimes, that they killed them, except for Jesus, whom Allah saved miraculously. Allah Most High responded to this wickedness by sending a Roman army that destroyed the state of Israel for a second time. It will be destroyed for a last time by a Muslim army led by Imam al-Mahdi. The warning of a declaration of war from Allah Most High for the consumption of riba assumes even greater importance when we reflect over the fact that Allah Most High intervened to protect the first masjid, Kaaba. When Abraha came with his army of elephants to destroy it. Quran al-Fil 105:15. Even when the Kaaba was filled with idols, Allah Most High still intervened to save it from destruction. And yet, even though there were no idols in the second masjid, Masjid al-Aqsa, Allah Most High twice sent armies to destroy it. Such is the state of divine anger over the oppression caused by riba. The dire warning for the Jews is that the shirk of the secular state of Israel and the riba in its economic life both manifestly violate the divine conditions for inheritance of the Holy Land. The consequence of such violation is that Allah Most High would respond by punishing them. Jerusalem in the Quran. By Imran N. Hossein. Part 2, Chapter 3, Conclusion. Had we sent this as a Quran in a language other than Arabic, they would have said, "Why are not its verses explained in detail in a language which we could understand? How strange it is that the book is in a foreign language, while the one who brought the book is an Arab." Say, this book is a guide and a healing to those who believe. But for those who believe not in it, there is a deafness in their ears, and it is blindness in their eyes. They are as it were being called from a place far distant. Quran, Fussilat 41-44. It is now time for us to conclude with the brief restatement of the main points made in this book. They are as follows. The strange revolutionary change that transformed Europe from a pagan to a very largely Christian, but also with a small and influential Jewish society, eventually gave way to an even stranger revolutionary change, which resulted in that same European people now becoming essentially godless.